Now, can you hear?
Yes.
Anymore. So, and Hare Krishna, Gulukananda Priya.
Hare Krishna.
How are you? You okay?
Good. Yeah, I'm okay.
I'm very happy to see you.
How are you? Having a lot of festivals there in Europe?
Yeah, we just had New Mayapu is quite appropriate because we have Krishna Balaram. You know, it was the second temple in the world after Vrindavan that where Srila Prabhupada installed Krishna Balaram, 76. So it's a very special place. So we had also 45th anniversary of Shri Radha Govinda Madhav, Janmastami, Radhastami. So lots of festivals. If you come that side, you're most welcome. Can you hear Golokananda Priya? It looks like you became still on the pic. Perhaps she disconnected. Okay. So I heard Jacob is sick a little bit, huh?
I guess so. I don't know.
Yeah, he told me by WhatsApp. He said he won't come. He's unwell. Okay.
Well, that's too bad to hear.
Yeah. So
I might be cutting out early too at around 8, but I'll be here until then.
Okay. It's early for you, huh?
Yeah. And it's raining outside. It's really pretty actually today.
Okay, great. So let me play a little song. I hope Vignesh is gonna come today because only two of you.
Here, let me send him the link. He couldn't access it for some reason. I'll tell him it's on his Gmail.
Yeah, to Vignesh, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I sent it to him, but
Oh, you did? Okay.
but still, it's always good to double check, you know. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivardhani Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivardhani Yasudanandana Brajadaranjana
Yasodhanandana Brajadana Ranjana
Yasudanandana Brajadaranjana
Yasodhanandana Brajadana Ranjana
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivardhani Yasudanandana Rajadararanjana Yamuna Tira Vanashali, Yamuna Tira Vanashali. Yamuna Tira Vanashali, Yamuna Tira Vanashali.
Tiravanachari, Yamuna Tiravanachari.
Jaya Kundari Hari.
Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Om Girivardhari.
Gopi Janava, Girivaradhari.
Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Om Girivardhari.
Gopi Janava, Jaya Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Rajajaranjana
Yasodanandana, Yavajanara.
Yashodanandana Rajajaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanashali, Yamuna Tira Vanashali. Yamuna Tira Vanashali, Yamuna Tira Vanashali. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Jaya Radha Govinda Madhava Radha Govinda Madhava Shri Radhe. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram.
Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram.
Jaya Gaurani Thai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Radha Govinda Madhav ki jai. Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai. Gonitai ki jai. Shri Sadhu Sat Sangha ki jai. Shri Shupanishad ki jai. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Bhakti Shastri ki jai.
Mahavendra, can you let Vignesh in? He says he's in the lobby.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
And thank you, Golokananda Priya.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I tried to send him the link. He said in the lobby also.
yeah. So, do you guys have deities that your side? Oh, Hare Krishna, Vignesh, how are you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. All good, Prabhu. How are you?
Beautiful place behind you. It's very lushy.
Trying to make some artificial environment.
Oh, good.
Oh,
It's artificial or it looks like
You
real?
look
Huh?
like real.
It's artificial grass.
I thought it was real too.
Yeah, me too. It's like they're real. I thought you were in your back porch or something.
Yeah. I was wondering, you guys have deities your side?
Yeah, I have deities. I can show you. Right. Okay.
Okay, wonderful. Wow.
Okay.
Oh, you. Hi, Radha Krishna ki.
Aw, how beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
I have Jagannath, Gornitai,
Wow.
Wow.
Wonderful.
and Prabhupada.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Which part of America you live, Golokananda?
I live in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, okay.
Yeah.
And ISKCON is there, I think. Huh? It used to be Ravindra Swarup Prabhu there.
Yeah, he used to be here, but now he's been out for last few years. Now
Yeah,
it's
he's retired.
Balabhadra Prabhu and another
Oh,
young
Balabhadra,
devotee.
yeah. Balabhadra used to be a TP of
Atlanta.
okay, I'm confusing with Balabhadra in Brooklyn.
She's frozen.
Oh, she's frozen. Okay. And Sorel, you're close to the temple also?
Mm.
Yeah, I'm in Tucson, so there's a temple right here. And then we started our Tucson Bhakti Collective on Friday, and I made all the prashadam for it. And Damodar did a wonderful talk, and our other friend, he did the kirtan, and it was so fun. So now we have not only Sundays to go to the temple, but we have the Fridays to have
Okay,
another.
so you give the class now. You're back almost back to Shastri holder. Huh?
Pretty soon, yeah, pretty soon. I think Jacob's gonna go before me, but because he's better at that than I am, and I'm like, I'll just do the cooking for now. So
Well, in terms of exam, you're better. Huh? Slightly better than
studied
him.
a lot. I studied a lot. So
And what's the name of the deities there?
what was that?
The names of the deities at your side. The names of the,
We just have at our temple here
I mean in ISKCON Tucson.
in Tucson. We have Agora Nitai.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And Vignesh, you're close to the temple there in Bangalore now.
Yeah, I recently shifted to Bangalore. So we have ISKCON Bangalore over here nearby and 10-12 kilometers. Earlier, when I was in Mumbai, we had ISKCON Juhu Radha Rasbihari temple and ISKCON Chowpatty Radha Gopinath temple as well. So I used to visit there.
And how far are you from ISKCON Bangalore?
Around 10 kilometers.
I see. Is it still run by Madhu Pandit Prabhu?
Yes, Madhu Pandit Prabhu. It is Mumbai.
Okay, good. Okay, so yeah, we have to excuse Jacob. He's a bit unwell, he told me. I hope he can recover soon.
I hope so too.
Yes, let's sing some prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya. Chakshu Militam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Shvapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sam Jivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Panamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasa Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Swagatam, Suswagatam. So Vignesh, I sent you the link on your mail. Huh? Did you?
Actually, yeah, I got that, but it was in spam box. I think somehow it went to spam box.
Oh, okay.
It is not in English, so I think normally it goes into spam when it is not in English.
Okay. Yeah.
Moved to inbox.
Sorry. Okay, so I propose that before we move on into little Mahabharat to set up the scene historically, I think it's important to debrief your homework. Your exam. I can see you worked a lot. I mean, I can feel it. So Golokananda Priya.
Yeah.
You were borderline, huh?
I didn't get time to finish.
Yeah, I didn't have time to finish. Okay.
Finish. Yeah.
As soon as you leave, you have to understand all these things. Huh? As soon as you leave, empty questions, empty answers, then automatically you.
Yeah, I lost some points.
You kill yourself.
After mantra 13, I say I'm going to go back, then my time was over. I don't know.
Well, in one sense, I'm not so adamant on the time. I mean, I'm not strict. I can be stricter by other means, but I mean, oftentimes if students ask me for extra time, I gave. But you got 58, so I just rounded up to 60 because pass mark was 60. So I can see you put a lot of time. Be careful, c'est très haut. He's going through the windows,
Dangerous.
Je sais pas, Retoshan. Je sais pas. He's getting wild those days now. He's got some bad boy. The problem is he's hanging out with some bad boys. They're not devotees, and I'm putting my foot down because he spent a lot of time with them. And this, as the boy can immediately his consciousness becomes different, because they eat meat and all that jazz, So I'm putting my foot down, so he spent playing soccer is fine, riding the bike is fine, but as soon as they go to each other's home, playing the thing, like what do you call it, the station.
Video games.
Yeah. So it's at this age it's quite important to be behind, otherwise they just become extremely influenced by others. Okay, so basically, it was quite straightforward. What I'll do it, because since it's being recorded, I will give also the little the little problems that Jacob encountered, so it can also serve to others, and it will be, since it's going to be recorded, it will also get the feedback. The three sources of evidence, very straightforward. I don't think no one messed up on this one. Two systems of knowledge, obviously Avaroha, Panta, Aroha, Panta. Here, Jacob got it backwards. Inductive and deductive. He just, he got it backwards. Everyone else, I think, is kind of okay on this one. Yeah. Mantras 1 and 2. Yeah, Sorel, she, you know, she is belittling herself quite a bit. Because when you had to define karmi, vikarmi, akarmi, okay, you did well on this one. But then when I asked, actually, it was a question coming from Chandra Prabhu. Question was at the end, where do you fit? Where do you stand in amongst those three? So what did you say, Sorel?
I said a karmi who is on her way.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not proper. Technically, you're not a karmi. Right? What is the answer, Vignesh and Gokul and Priya? Are we karmis? Are we karmis? What does karmi mean technically?
One who follows a regulative principle.
Karmi means karma kanda. Very simple. So they are into Pravritti Marg. They're taking the long haul through. Actually, I need to be quiet. So tu vas voir un moment, okay? Let me. I don't have the key, Natasha. I don't have the key. Ferme la porte. Yeah. So basically, here we have to remind ourselves we are not karmi, Sorel. Karmi would be the right term for karma kandis. They are doing fruitive activities in the Vedic paradigm. Be careful. Karma kandi doesn't mean they are full-fledged materialist. No, they're within the Vedic paradigm, but they resort to Pravritti Marg. In other words, they're going to, first of all, take up to the section of the Vedas dealing with fruitive activities for the sake of fulfilling their aims within the Vedic paradigm. So that goes to their credit. They are not ordinary people, but they have an axe to grind, as we say. They're very fruitive in their religious approach and religious practice. But gradually, it's a long haul through Sakam Kama Yoga, Kama Kanda, then Sakam Kama Yoga, Nishkam Kama Yoga, perhaps Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, going through lifetimes of advancement, and by the grace of a devotee, they may come to finally the Bhakti Yoga ladder and then move on. So by no means you are one of those, Sorel.
Okay.
And just, of course, I haven't taught to you the NOD. We'll come to that. But that should be very deeply understood. Anyabilashita shunyam gyanakama navritam anukulina krishnanu shiranam bhakti bhutama. And this is the most important verse of NOD, Paribhasha Sutra. So as long as your Abhilash means desire, as long as your Abhilash is keen on accessing Lord Krishna, you are praying to Lord Krishna purely, please help me to get rid of my anarthas. You're not concerned by Jnana-kama, yoga, etc. Your intent is Anukul Bhakti, Anukulina Krishnanu. You want to cultivate Krishna consciousness for the sake of pleasing Krishna. You have a good intent, Then Bhakti Uttama. You are basically a sadhaka practicing Uttam Bhakti. You have to understand. Uttam Bhakti can be practiced on the level of sadhaka, sadhana, vedi, raganug, bhav, and prem. It doesn't mean because you're a Vedi Bhakta, even kind of awkward, and even at times, we mentioned that. We'll give a full course on that anyway. Even at times, Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, if you may be, even due to the onslaught of material nature upon you, you may succumb even. There's a verse in the 11th canto. You may succumb to weaknesses of heart, and you feel repentant, and you feel quite, you feel solid inside of you. but you repent and you carry on. Apice sudara charo, ananya back. If you carry on, ananya, your Abhilash again is keen on accessing Krishna purely. You have no other motives. You may succumb because due to your vasanas, due to your samskar, you are still fragile in your standing, spiritual posture. It doesn't mean you become a karmi. You have to be very careful on this one. There's a difference between a Vedi sadhaka who is still assaulted by material desires, but his Abhilash remains pure, and a Mishra Bhakta. What is a Mishra Bhakta? A mixed devotee. It's mentioned by Kapil Dev, third canto, Mishra Bhakti in the mode of goodness, Mishra Bhakti in the mode of passion, Mishra Bhakti in the mode of ignorance. So let's quickly go over that. What is Mishra Bhakti in the mode of goodness? What is it? Kapil Dev gives an example. As soon as you want to get free from this world, your motive is no more Abhilash, purely Krishna, serving Krishna favorably. No, you want to break away. You are suffering. You want to stop the suffering. You want to break away from this world. That's Mishra in the mode of goodness. That's no more pure devotional service, because your intent is no more Krishna. Is I want to break free from this world. That's high. That's okay. That's a very good type of motive in the mode of goodness, but there's no more. It's no more pure bhakti. Now, Mishra Bhakti in the mode of passion. What is it? Kapil Dev also mentions, it's there, that puja, pratishta, lobh, ardent desire for something else, you want to become recognized, you want to use bhakti as a means to become recognized, puja, adoration. You resort to bhakti for some of the other means, but pure devotional service. And the mode of ignorance, you are intent on for lowly purposes. Let's say you may want to harm someone. I want this person to be afflicted by COVID. I don't like this person. You become envious. So that's not your case, Sorel.
No.
That's not your case. And so that's, I mean, I was kind, I removed only alpha point on this one, but you have to get it right. You're not a karmi. You are just a sadhaka practicing uttam bhakti.
Sadhaka.
And you are still afflicted by material desires, okay? Just like me also. Okay? Doesn't mean you are karmi. You got the difference? You understand the difference?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Anyway, it's a long topic. I'll give a course. I'm going to give a seminar on this one also here, even here. I'll be practicing pure devotional service. Okay, let's carry on. Yeah. Yeah, here, Golokananda Priya.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. When you define a karmi, you say perform their duties to be free from the cycle of birth and death. Be careful. Akarmi means the gopis. They are karma free, so they perform their duties for Krishna.
Yeah.
Not just for you are a little busy, I can see.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. If you want to.
Sorry, somebody just came in the door.
No. If you want to take time off, it's okay.
No, I'm fine.
But what I'm saying is,
I'll just mute myself.
Akarmi means for Krishna. Be careful, big for Krishna. Okay, so Let's see. Look, I mean, you got in general, it was a good rendering. I'm just trying to see the notes that I took. I'm not going to go over those good answers that you did, because it's pointless. It's a waste of time. Jacob did some very good stuff also. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah. Vignesh was quite good. Let's see. Yeah, mantra 7. What does a Ekadva Manupashyata mean? So definitely you answered properly. You just forgot about Ekadva Manupashyata. Anupashyata means to follow. So it means Shastra Shakshu. We have to see. We may not be able to be like an Uttam Bhagwat, see 621, 630, 629, 30, seeing the pervasiveness of the Lord everywhere. No, but at least if we see through the Shastras, that's called Ekadva Manupashyata. We have a similar interest, okay, just like the father, but Anupashyata means what? To follow. So we follow Shastra. Yeah, anyway, it was a quite splendid paper, Vignesh. Yeah, everything is paka. Not converge, converge, and the verb is, you write to converge at the end, very end of the paper, converge in remembrance of Lord Vishnu. I think you meant converge, converge, you write. Converge, I looked it up, it's not even an English verb. Converge, converge. Actually, it's a French word, it's a French verb as well. And let's see for Sorel if I have more to say. Yeah, in mantras 9 and 10, why is Mayavad philosophy worse than hedonistic atheisms? So here, what I was expecting, Vignesh got it right, is the procession and the procession of the dead corpse. In India, they parade with the dead corpse, cadaver, and they're going to deck it out with full splendor and ornaments. The guy is dead, so that's, anyway, you forgot that analogy. Otherwise, let's see, I think it's quite perfect. Huh? Yeah, I can feel that you put a lot of efforts, all of you. It sips through the pages. One last thing, Sorel, is the very last question and answer.
Oh, I think I was of the mantras going all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, actually,
I think I ran out of time.
Nivriti Marg and Pravriti Marg. Again, same story. You wrote, the two paths delineated in the purport are the karma kanda path, which is where actions become vikarmic. Be careful. Vikarmic means non-devotional. Become karmic.
Oh, okay.
Karmic, actually, it's a misuse of the word. In this kind of times, we tend to label people, which is not good. Or they are karmic. No, first of all, we should not even pass such judgments, if you ask me.
Agreed.
But technically, it's a mistake. We should say, oh, they are vikarmis. And we have to remember a few years down the line, we were like them. So we should not pass this judgment. It's not good. But technically, it's a mistake. They are not, you're saying, oh, the karma kanda, they are vikarma. No, they are karma. Vikarma means ugra, means nefarious activities, horrible activities. That's why I'm very sharp with my boy, because he's hanging out with those two boys, and I know they're bad boys because they are vikarmi, and it's gonna rub off. I can see already in the span of a few days, his consciousness changes. It's like clay, at this age. It's like clay, and revolve around sense gratification. No, they revolve around Vedic sense gratification.
Okay.
You have to. Karma Kandi doesn't mean full-fledged materialist. Be careful. Huh? 96% of the practitioners are Karmakandi, even in any mainstream religion. Yes, doesn't mean they are gross materialists. At least they resort to some kind of religious rules that should be acknowledged. Okay, so did you find it difficult over all this exam? Frankly speaking.
It wasn't difficult just because we had done most of these questions already.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I almost ran out of time. That was what was hard for me. Like I didn't get a chance to go back and fix anything.
But
like,
I mean, how did it go? I mean, didn't I give you extra time? Did you ask for it?
No, I didn't, because it was fine.
To stop. He told us to stop after 2 hours.
Which
Yeah,
is
I know,
normal.
but you know, I'm not a tyrant. Huh? If you tell me, look, I need 10 more minutes, I'll give you. Don't worry.
But other than that,
I took a break during the time. Then I have to go back, and I didn't get time to revise, like you said.
Yeah, so I'm saying, okay, it was your first exam with me, but you know, in case even some of you may finish on time, whatever, doesn't mean the last candidate should, you know, stick to that guideline. If he needs or she needs extra time, yeah, I'm not a tyrant, you know, I'll give you.
The next time you have to give us an exam, you have to be in the exam day.
I have to what?
Maybe you have to be on the exam day next time. You can give us extra time, especially for me.
Yeah, but I was there. I mean, how did it go? I forgot. I was being the vigil. I was vigil, no?
No, you were not there. It was not called Chandra.
Oh, sorry, I forgot the details. He was, and he was strict. He was stricter, perhaps. Huh?
Yeah, I say, oh, you guys running, and now it's time. You have to stop.
Oh, I see. So I will tell him. Okay, I'll make sure next time. I'll make sure next time I run the vigil. I be the vigil.
I think the younger one, they type faster than me, so.
I was typing like a mad woman. I was like,
okay, so I will tell him then. So
I don't type too much, so
I will tell him. It
take me longer for me to type and everything.
Yeah, I understand. But at least it's readable, you know, because sometimes people have an awful writing, like me the first time. My writing is awful.
Same.
So
you got on the computer all the time, you know, typing, texting and all that. You're very fast, you know, compared to me. My generation.
Okay. Anyway, next time I'll tell him verbally to give him extra time if need be. And next time I'll try to be I be the one to do the vigil. Okay, any more questions on this exam?
Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe you should give us some specific thing that, you know, not the exam question, but where we have to concentrate on studying, because I was just reading all the chapters, you know, I didn't study all the.
As I told you, I don't know if I told you, I think I did.
I think
I will just pick up from the questions I gave you throughout the book. Very simple.
Yeah, I didn't hear that we have to, from the question that you gave us. I was just reading all the chapters and trying to.
I will, to make it easier, because I know what you're saying. You have to reread the whole book from A to Z.
Yeah, that's what I was doing for revision.
Didn't I mention Sorel or Vignesh?
I think
I think one time, yeah.
Yeah, so
I think I missed something.
It will be the same for all the forthcoming examinations. Any books, I'll do that. Don't try.
We just revise
on top of the questions and the answers. That's my question bank, basically. From that question bank, I will pull out the.
That will make it easier for me to revise, because I was just reading all the chapters one.
Okay, so perhaps you misheard that.
Yeah.
It was the instructions were a little confusing, Golokananda Priya, because I wasn't exactly sure either. I had remembered maybe that it was going to be the questions, but I also was like you, where I was reading through the book as well. And I was like,
and what to speak when it's going to be Gita. I mean, Gita, obviously, it will be three divisions, because 3 units. So it will be 6 chapters, 6 chapters, 6 chapters.
Okay.
It will be easier. And in terms of, did you guys recite your shlokas to me, or I forgot?
Yep. What shloka?
What shlokas?
I don't know what shloka.
I mean, didn't you read the manual, Golokananda?
I read, but I don't know which part I should
Yeah, there's
read.
two. And Vignesh, you recited your shlokas?
No, Prabhu.
Okay.
I can
Will you
recite.
please call me? You can actually, we can do it. Well, in one sense, should be done separately. I think Sorel did it, right?
Yes.
And Jacob did it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys, Gokulananda and Vignesh, you call me separately on my WhatsApp, and you just, there's two. Om Purnamada Purnaminam Ishavasyamidam Sarvam, and two, only two.
Okay.
Piece of cake.
That's good.
Okay.
So do it because we finished the book now, and otherwise you will be running behind. So call me today or tomorrow, whatever.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on Sri Iso? We're turning the page. So basically, bear in mind that there's two things, sadhana and sadhya. Sadhana means abhideya, the practice to come to sadhya. What is sadhya?
To come to practice.
Sadhya means the perfection of the practice. Prema pumartu mahan. That's the sadhya. What is the ultimate goal of our practice? Sadhya is develop pure love of God. So in one sense, there's no difference between sadhana and sadhya, because once you become a pure premi bhakta, you still chant, but no more out of duty, Vedi bhakti, Guru Shastra Sadhu. No, you are doing it out of love. But you still chant Hare Krishna. You still, you're not going to offer the food to Krishna. You're going to put, as a Gopal, let's say, you will put forcibly the food in his mouth out of love, due to exchange of love. So what I'm trying to say is, in those 4 books, Bhakti Shastri books, we can see that there's 2 pairs. There's different way to break down those 4 books. What I'll do is, those 2 books will talk about Tattva. What are the 2 books talking about Sadhya? We are going to delineate very clearly the position of the Supreme. What are those 2 books?
Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, one.
And,
Try to think in terms of sadhya and sadhana. Sadhana means abhideya, the process. What should I do to reach out to the sadhya, to the ultimate goal?
Bhagavatam.
Well, again, Bhagavatam is not within Bhakti Shastri. Yeah?
Oh, the book, is that
Bhakti Shastri book. So she said one,
Nectar
Gita.
of Devotion?
Nectar of Devotion would be more sadhana, the practice. We can see in the Gita, like she said so well, in the Gita, Krishna is going to acknowledge different paths, Kama Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga even. And he's going to widen his approach. He wants to make sure people will rally from different walks of life. They can rally to his cause. But ultimately, the purpose of Gita is to establish the tattva, the sadhya. Krishna is the supreme personality.
Sri Iso.
That's sadhya. That's Siddhanta. This is one book. And what is the other book who does that? We just covered that book.
Sri Iso. Yeah.
Yeah. Sri Iso does that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sri Iso establishes the supreme with no possibility of being confused. Everything is crystal clear. The qualities are defined very clearly, mantra 8. Then the different types of sambhuti as sambhuti, different types of worship are established. We should not be befooled by the sambhuti. We should respect them, the demigods, but not worship them. So the Sri Iso very clearly and neatly delineates what is the sadhya, what is the ultimate object of worship. Sri Iso Gita. Now, when it comes to abhideya, the process to reach there is sadhana. So, of course, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is overflowing with love, with practice, how to become a pure devotee, how to go through the different steps of bhakti. That's abhideya, Vedi bhakti, Raganuga bhakti, Bhav bhakti, Prem bhakti. And of course, that very powerful little book, Upadeshamrit, Nectar of Instruction, is also full of sadhana. We don't see, let's be honest, in Nectar of Devotion or Nectar of Instruction, do you find any space for discussing about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga? No, not much, not at all even. Because the purpose is different. Srila Rupa Goswami, in those two books, he has very clearly, remember it was written in 16th century, yeah, long back. He wants to establish once and for all the supremacy of Krishna Bhakti, the practice of Krishna Bhakti. In those days, it was not across the board in India. Many people were into Kamakanda, Tantra, Nyaya, you know. Not everyone was a Krishna Bhakta in those days. So he wants to establish, and it's going to pull out from Smriti and Shruti, especially in Purva Vibhag, the first ocean, the Eastern Ocean, is going to fill up this ocean with very strong evidence from Shruti and Smriti also, to establish the supremacy of Krishna Bhakti. So the process is being highlighted here, sadhana, in Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction. Okay, so let's move into Gita. And of course, as I mentioned before, I want to make sure you understand somewhat the precursor. What is the historical background of the Bhagavad Gita? Do you have any knowledge of that? Because I don't know, we never discussed about that. Do you have any, what are the sequences that lead to this battle? Anyone knows? Vignesh, Sorel, Golokananda, Priya? Did it happen out of the blue? One day there's a battle of how many people died?
Well, the Pandava, there was two groups, the Pandava and the Kaurava. The Kaurava, I mean the cousins of the five Pandavas, they didn't want to give any property, any kingdom to the Pandavas.
Yes.
And by law, you know, they're supposed to get their own kingdom, and they were refused by the, you know, by the Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra.
Okay, good.
Because of that, you know, they had to fight for the right. So yes. That's why the Battle of Kurukshetra started. That in brief. You know, even Krishna went and want to have a peace formula. Please give them the kingdom. They refused to give any kingdom to the Pandavas. Okay. So in order to get the rights, that's why they had to start this war.
Okay, good. Sorel, do you have any awareness of the previous sequences of that led to the battle, or you want me to go over? Because I'll go over a little bit, don't worry.
I have a little bit of knowledge because I've listened to some of the Mahabharat, and then I've read like a short little version of it before, but I think maybe that's up to you.
To refresh. I'll do it, not worry. Vignesh, you on top of that?
Like what I understand is basically a fight. It was a fight between the Dharma and Adharma. Like Kauravas were on the side of Adharma, where they had did a lot of religious and activities. It was not just like a property fight like we normally see between brothers in today's world. It was
fratricide war. Yeah.
It was a fight between Dharma and Adharma. That's how Krishna supported the Pandavas and fought the battle.
So what I'll do a quick synopsis, and I'm going to mention names because Mahabharat is itias. Itias means historical histories. It's the same word, historical history. Historical facts. Itihas, there's two, Ramayana and Mahabharat. So we have to mention names because it's full of intrigue, it's full of adventure, it's full of romance. It's the fifth Veda. And in the first canto, Srila Prabhupada mentions, actually in Kali Yuga, specifically in Kali Yuga, the Mahabharata is more important than Vedanta Sutra. Even though Vedanta Sutra, we know, it's full of sutra, it's extremely codified, but it's very abstruse. You say abstruse, abstract? It's terse, you know, the very terse. Let me close the door, it's very noisy. On va faire de bruit dans la cour, moi. Donc, pas beaucoup de bruit. Now there are three, no? Not only one boy, it's three. Okay, so it's terse. It's very terse. That is why no one can decrypt the Vedanta Sutra in Kali Yuga. So that is why the Mahabharata was so fond in Kali Yuga. There's a verse in the first canto. What is it? Yes, Sutta Goswami is saying, actually, I'm forgetting the Sanskrit, perhaps you know, Vignesh. This Mahabharata is meant for Shudras and Stri. Stri Shunya, Bijambun, I'm forgetting it's meant for Bijabandhu, fallen Brahmanas, women, Shudras, and we are all Shudras. in Kali Yuga, Kalo Shudra Sambhava. So it's quite of, even though it's us, we may say, well, it's just story. No. As soon as you put Krishna in there, it becomes a source of glorification. And we have to remember this Gita has been embedded within the Mahabharata for some purpose. As if just remove the Gita from the Mahabharata, it becomes basically a mundane book. But because Gita is there, a little Gita is nothing, 700 verses. How many verses in the Mahabharata?
A lot.
Oh, don't know.
It's huge. And bear in mind that the Mahabharata differs in size according to the location. According to different planets, it differs in size. Like here on this planet, it's about 1 lakh, 1.1, 1.2 verses. But on different spheres, on different divisions of this universe, it's much bigger. 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs. Same with Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva gave Mahabharata. There's 2 books that Vyasadeva penned. What are the 2 books that Vyasadeva himself penned with his own hand? The other books, Vyasadeva didn't write the Vedas. Bear in mind, huh? There's a difference between writing and compiling. What is the difference?
One, you're actually like gathering the information that's maybe already there, and then the other one you're literally.
Exactly. Brihat Aryanaka Upanishad explained the Vedas emanate from the breathing of the Lord. So where's the question of writing them down? This Mahashruti, it's Mahakavya, it's Shabda. So what he did, and that goes to his eternal credit, at the end of each Dwapara Yuga, it compiles. Compiles means, just imagine, I just throw a big bag full of coins. All the coins are mixed together. What you do, you just pile them up according to currency. $5, I mean, whatever, 5 cents, 20 cents, pile, $1 stack, everything. So it's compiling, you are reassorting the Vedas. That's his job at the end of each Dwapara Yuga. But still, there's 2 books he penned out of his own hand. 1, 2. One is Vignesh?
Bhagavad Puran.
Yes, excellent. Number 2? Mahabharat. Mahabharat was penned by, yes, Prabhu?
It was by Ganpati, right?
Sorry?
I heard it was written by Ganpati, Ganesh.
Yeah, Ganapanesh was described, definitely. But Vyasadeva was speaking out, and Vignesh was, Ganapati was writing under dictation. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm not going to tell you the whole Mahabharata. It will take weeks, if not years. I will start from basically starting on Brahmalok. In other words, Mahabharata was recited for the first time by Vaishampayana. Vaishampayana was a disciple of Vyas, And it was recited during the snake yagya of King Janamejai. King Janamejai was, who was King Janamejai?
Either the grandson of Lord Krishna?
No, King Janamejai was the son of Maharaj Parikshit. So what happened is Ugrashrava. Ugrashrava is Sutta Goswami. So Ugrashrava means he has very powerful sense of hearing. Ugra, terrible hearing. His hearing is extremely powerful. He's wrapped in attention. Sutta Goswami, Ugrashrava. His sense of hearing is extremely acute. He was there. And later he recited the Mahabharat. He recited, we know, Bhagavatam, but also he recited Mahabharat to the sages of Nimisharanya. So what happened is Sutta Goswami related the events that took place after the compilation of the Mahabharat, in one sense, leading up to the snake yagya of King Janamejaya. So what I'll do is I will start specifically around the time of King Shantanu. Are you aware of this period? I'm teaching a little.
Yeah.
Tu vois, maman, je donne un cours là. Okay, so what happened is there was one king in the line of Ishvaku. Ishvaku is an ancestor of Lord Ram, talking about a couple of million years ago. He was in the dynasty coming from Vivashwan. You see in the Gita, there's a verse, beginning of 4th chapter, Vivashwan, Ishvaku, Manu. So in that line, there was one king, Mahabhish. Mahabhish, he was living in Brahmalok. Actually, he had ascended, he used to be on earth, he was an earthly king, but after 1,000 Ashvamedha Yagya, he ascended himself to Brahmalok. And it's the highest loka, highest planet in the universe. Demigods are there, rishis. Of course, they worship Brahma, is the supreme Jiv, the most powerful Jiva in the universe. And Ganga was there, Ganga Devi herself. Everything is personified. The mountain is personified, the rivers, what you speak of sacred rivers like Ganga. She's a demigoddess, Ganga Devi. And basically, it's a lila, but we should not understand it otherwise, but this is how it happened. Ganga was there, there was a full assembly, Brahma was ruling, reigning, and the breeze blew, and slightly the breeze lifted up the sari of Ganga, and this king Mahabhish, he had some kind of a lusty look towards Ganga, especially towards the breast region. So Brahma immediately detected that. We have to understand Brahma has a body made of intelligence. He doesn't even have gross matter in his body. His body is pure intelligence. Subtle body, totally subtle, extremely refined body. Immediately, he cursed them both. He told Mahabhish that you may select your father according to your desire, and I will provide the means for your release from this curse. So it was a curse, but at the same time, we will see that it will be some kind of a boon also. And he carried on saying, at the time, your anger will be provoked by Ganga, and then you will be reinstated in your original position. So that was the intent of Lord Brahma. So Mahabhish had to follow this instruction. He has to fall down to earth. It's a big fall coming from Brahmalok. And he had the privilege of choosing his own father. So his father became Maharaj Pratip, that soon to become the father of Mahabhish on earth. So what happened is, obviously, Ganga got cursed also along with Mahabhish. And she had some affection for him. So at the same time, another story took place about the same time amongst the 8 Vasus. The 8 Vasus are celestials, and they're demigods. The eight brothers. And you know the story, you may know the story. They were moving about the sky with their consort in their Vimans. Viman means airplane, spaceship, and those. We have to understand we are on a very gross level of matter here. We have planes with engine, it's rumbling, it's moving, it's shaking. No, this is very lowly type of engineering. Viman means they move of their own accord by dint of mantras. You have Pushpa Viman, for instance, floor spaceship. They move by mantras. That's the state of affair on higher planets. So they were moving about, those 8 Vasus with their consorts. They spotted below Kamadhenu cow belonging to Vashisht. Vashisht is extremely powerful. It's when you look in the sky, and there's the 7, the Saptarishis. They form, by the way, what do you call it? Constellation. You can spot them in the sky. One of them, among the 7, one is Vashisht. He was the guru of Dasharat, Lord Ram also. So he's been around for millions of years. And he had a particular cow, Kamadhenu. She can yield any amount of milk. And if I'm not mistaken, she can also yield anything. It's like a, prodigious cow. So Ganga happened to meet them, and they were in a dejected mood. Why? Because they had been cursed. They stole the cow. One of the wife of Dew, his name was Dew, one of the Vasus' name was Dew. She told him, please, I want that cow. So he relented, but finally she got so much, extremely stubborn, and he did it. He stole the cow. Vashisht Muni is coming back. Of course, he's Trikalagya. He can immediately detect the culprit. Who is the culprit? He cursed them. Heavy. Cursed them what? To be born on earth. So can you imagine? You are a demigod. Be born on earth means, as if I'm telling you, you become a rat. It's a heavy curse. It's horrifying curse. Because you have to take birth from humans, from a womb of a human lady, which is, we have to understand, demigods don't take birth like this. Bear in mind. Demigods immediately become adult. There's no growth, childhood, teenage, no. Immediately they become adult. So to take birth from the womb of a female, no way. They were extremely horrified by this curse. So when Ganga came on the scene, they pleaded to her, please, my dear Ganga Devi, please become our mother. She agreed. And the Vasus also selected the future son of Pratip. Remember, Pratip became the father of Mahabhish, who had been cursed in Brahmalok. So they selected the future son of Pratip as their father. And that person would become named Shantanu. So the Vasus, remember the 8. The culprit who stole the cow, his name is Dew. So the Vasus, they were so much horrified to take birth on earth as humans, they told their future mother, Ganga, please, you drown us. You don't keep us. As soon as we're born, please drown us, so we won't live long on earth. Ganga agreed to that for 7 of them, except for the culprit, the Dew. His name is Dew. The one who really had stolen the cow, he will have a long life. So the Vasus decided, because they are brothers, they feel, compassion to one another, will give him each one of us will give him 1/8 of our energies to produce. We'll give him 1/8 of our energy to that particular brother of ours, so he can live long. He will be extremely powerful. He will be cursed, yes, he will be cursed to live a long, long time. And also another request they made to Ganga, they say, please, we don't want him that he has children. Okay, you follow? You're on board?
Yeah.
Vignesh?
Yes. Yes.
Good. It's a nice story. Huh? It's a bit, extremely an adventure, basically. Okay, so this Pratip, Maharaj Pratip, remember Mahabhish has chosen him to become his father on earth. So this Maharaj, now we are on earth now. Maharaj Pratip, he was a tapasvi. The Raja Rishi in those days, they were kings, but they were also tapasvi. They were great ascetics as well. He was performing tapas, austerity at the source, Gangotri. I've been there. I've been to the source of Gangotri, even higher, Tapovan, you can go. And Ganga appeared, and she sat on his right thigh. But the right thigh is meant for daughter or daughter-in-law. It's not meant for the wife. The wife sits on the left thigh of the man. So because of that, she wanted to marry him. She said, no. He said, no, you cannot marry me. You sat on the wrong thigh. So you please marry my son. So she agreed. But on one plea, she said, yes, okay. But of course, Ganga is part of the scheme. It's been preordained, pre-orchestrated by Brahma. We know that. She agreed, but she told Maharaj Pratip, yes, but I don't want your son to question any of my activities. So in due course of time, Pratip Maharaj, with his own wife, begot Shantanu. This is where it's going to start, basically. And of course, we have to understand, Pratip was in the tapasvik. When he conceived Shantanu, remember Shantanu is my ancient, formerly he was Mahabhish. So he's a great soul. He's coming from Brahmalok. He had been conceived. Father was extremely in control of his senses when he was conceived. So he was extremely well conceived, I would say. So in due course of time, the story goes like this. He was hunting, and the young prince was hunting, and they met with Ganga in the forest. And immediately he fell in love with her. Beautiful lady. She's demigoddess, can you imagine? But again, she reminded him, yes, you don't question my activities. You don't question at all. Otherwise, if you question, I will leave you on the spot. So it was agreed. It was agreed. And in due course of time, who was born from their union? Of course, we just mentioned the 7 Vasus. Remember, the 8 Vasus had been cursed by Vashisht. They're falling down. The 7 ones, 7 in a row were born. But remember the plea they had made to Ganga? Make sure you drown us as soon as we're born, remember? So she did that one after the other. And Maharaj Shantanu kept quiet. He was heartbroken. Can you imagine? Your wife is drowning your own son. So for 7 times in a row, he tolerated, with difficulty, but still he tolerated. That fulfilled the plea of the Vasus. They wanted to be drawn. They don't want to stay on here. on this earth. But the eighth one, Dew actually, Dew, his name is Dew. When he was born, Mara Shantanu exploded. He said, "No way, you're such a cruel lady. There's absolutely no way I can carry on like this. No, it's awful. What are you doing? 7 times I had to bear your nonsense." So immediately she told it, "That's it. Story is over." So, and she told him, "I'll keep the boy." His name was Devavrat. "I'll train him up and I'll bring him back to you when he becomes a young prince, a young man." So Shantanu was dejected. He lost his wife, couldn't keep the boy even. So it's it didn't start on a good note, to say the least. But anyway, time went by. In the meantime, kings love to hunt. They have to keep their skills always ready for fighting, for war. So they have to practice while hunting, killing animals. That's at least their dharma. To some extent, that's their Kshatriya dharma. It was allowed for kings to kill animals, to practice. So while he was hunting one day, he came across a lady. Her name is Satyavati. Anyone knows her?
Yeah, he's the mother of Vyasadeva.
Very good.
She's the mother of Vyasadeva. So.
Future mother of Vyasadeva.
Yeah.
So what happened? She has a peculiar story. I don't want to go in her previous lives, otherwise it's going to extend the thing enormously. But to make a long story short, she was born daughter of a fisherman. So definitely a low birth, fisherman. And her job was simple: to convey the passengers across the river, the big river. And of course, on top of that, she had some kind of obnoxious smell to her body because, always living with father. Father is a fisherman, so that stuck to her, that order. One time she happened to carry across the river Parashara Muni. Who is Parashara Muni?
The father of Vyasadeva.
Father of Vyasadeva?
Yes, very good. Very good. So what happened is, of course, it's Raja Rishi, Brahma Rishi, extremely powerful living entity. He's basically one of the main speakers of Vishnu Puran, Parashara Muni, yes. Extremely powerful sage. And he told her, "My dear lady," she was young woman, "it has been ascribed that I should give you a child." And of course, she's not married, it's totally unheard of. But, he's very powerful living entity, Parashara Muni, great Rishi. So he convinced her, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. It's coming from above. Your child will be extremely special. But what I'm going to do is, in the middle of this river, there was an island, Dweep. It's called Dweep. So he created some fog on the island so they could unite. And from their encounter, who was born?
Vyasadeva.
Yes. Dwepayan. Dwepayan means Dweep. Dwepayan. Born on the Dweep. Born on the island. That's why it's called Dwepayan Vyasadeva. Yes, he was born from that union. So it was meant to be. And basically, Satyavati was the mother. So, same story. He took birth, immediately grew up, became Vyas, and he had a lot to do. Shakaran Bhagavan Rishihi is mentioned in the first canto. He is the one important incarnation who's going to compile the Vedas. He has a lot on his plate. He has a lot of things to do. So immediately he took leave of his mother, and he just headed for the Himalayas. And he told her, "But my dear mother, Anytime you need me, I'll appear on the spot. And he departed. She never brought up that child. That child is, is Shakti Vaishnava. It can be even sometimes Vishnu himself, when there is no particular jiva empowered to do that, occupy that post, just like Brahma, Lord Vishnu can occupy that post if need be. So Parashara Muni is born now. Sorry, Vyasadeva is born. So we're carrying on the story. Shantanu is going to marry this lady, Satyavati. In the meantime, the father of Satyavati was extremely a good schemer, I would say, because still, he may be a fisherman. The emperor has to ask his permission to marry his daughter, isn't it? So we went to that small cottage. Actually, what happened is, it's in twofold. The fisherman told him, yes, my dear emperor, I'm very much honored by your presence. Of course, you can marry my daughter. What a privilege. But you have your own son. Remember? Of course, I didn't tell you that point. In the meantime, Ganga Devi appeared. Actually, what happened? It's another great lila. In the meantime, as Shantanu was hunting, he saw an amazing feat. Someone, can you imagine, with arrows had the skill, the mighty skill to stop the flow of Ganga river. So Shantanu could see with his own eyes, the flow of the river has been thwarted, has been stopped by arrows which are being crisscrossed so thin that they are just blocking the flow of the water. I mean, Shantanu was blown away. Himself was an experienced warrior. He was blown away. And whom did he see on the banks? A young man, resplendent young man, resplendent young man. And this person told him, I'm your son, Ganga. I was brought up by Ganga. He remembered, father remembered, yes, Ganga had promised me to return that boy. And now he's a young man, extremely competent. He had been trained by whom? Who trained him up?
Parsamuni.
Very good. Parashuram.
Parsuram, sir.
Parashuram. So can you imagine? He's the son of, he's half demigod. He's in the form of Vasu. So he's a demigod, basically. So his name was, as we know, Devavrat. So the father was rejoicing, his own son. Finally, the only survivor of the 8. So he was, he became basically the main son, the only son, basically, the future heir of the crown. So remember now, when Shantanu approached the father-in-law, the future father-in-law of his own father-in-law to get the hand of Satyavati, he told him, yes, granted, my dear emperor, but obviously your son is going to inherit the earth. They were emperor of the earth. In those days, it was not called India, it was Bharatvarsh. Bharatvarsh means also the whole earth, the whole Varsh, the whole region, which is basically the earth. Bharatkanda, sometimes they call it. So Shantanu was in a fix now, because how can he disown his own son, his real son, his blood son? He's the father of Devavrat. No way he's going to disown him. So he left the place and he was quite disheartened, because he was, in love with that girl, Satyavati. Time went by, but the son is Devavrat, extremely intelligent, extremely tuned up to his father's. He could detect, my father is in dejected mood. What happened? He questioned the father. No, not much, nothing. naturally. So Devavrat went to the charioteer. Where did he go? What happened? So charioteer revealed, yes, he has visited this small cottage. He asked for, for the hand of this lady. It's a low birth lady, and something happened. I cannot tell, but he has been dejected since that time. So Devavrat went himself alone, incognito. He went to see the father. Same story. Father said, yes, I would gladly give my daughter to your father, but again, you're the inheritor. You're the heir. You're going to inherit everything. So then Devavrat said, okay, I will pull out from being the heir. I won't inherit anything. Let your son, let the progeny coming from my father and your daughter be the rightful heir. But the father was so, finicky. He said, what about if you have yourself a son? You may marry, okay, you are refusing being the heir, okay, but what about your progeny? You follow? Everyone follow?
Yes.
You're still there?
Yes.
Yes.
So what about your progeny? So then he took a terrible vow, this Devavrat. I take the vow not only to marry, not only not to marry, but not to have any, I remain brahmachari, which is unheard of. I mean, can you imagine? He's a demigod, he's a full-blood, pure-blood Kshatriya. I mean, it's unheard of, having no woman at all, unheard of. He took the vow, such a terrible vow, from the sky showered rain, flowers. The demigods themselves were taken aback. And Bhishma, terrible vow, it means Bhishma. Such a terrible vow, they call him Bhishma. So Devavrat became Bhishma. This is how it starts. It's an amazing story, actually. There's suspense in this Gita. Coming to the Gita, there's a lot of suspense before. So then remember the scene now. So finally, the fisherman father agreed, yes, you can marry my daughter. Your Bhishma, Devavrat has taken that terrible vow. There's no danger from that side. So what happened now? Satyavati and Shantanu are going to have children. What is the verse? Griha putrahinam griham shunyam. If you have no putra, the marriage is shunya. It's void. It's a desert. Yes. So then Shantanu, Satyavati, first child, Chitrangada. But Chitrangada, there's another similar fellow in the heaven who bears the same name. Chitrangada also is a Gandharva. He could not bear that another earthly being has the same name as me. There's no way. So I'm going to provoke him in a fight. So both two Chitrangadas fought together. And of course, who won? You can well imagine. The Gandharva is much more powerful than humans. He killed that son. So then they had another son, Vichitravirya. But so who is ruling the world? Is Kuru, the Kuru dynasty. We are in the Kuru line here, coming from Kuru. Kuru was an ancestor long back. His name was Kuru. So in that line, the Kuru clan was ruling. So Vichitravirya became the king. First son had died. But the problem with him, he was kind of a womanizer. He had many wives. I mean, not many, but 2 or 3 perhaps. Let me tell you the story about those wives. he married Ambika. So what happened is, bear in mind the story. Bhishma became basically the half brother, because he's got a different, they have the same father, yes, but he's got a different brother. Mother is Ganga for him. So he had to arrange his senior, he's much more senior in terms of age. And of course, he's half demigod, so he's very powerful living entity. He had to arrange the marriages of his stepbrother, Vichitravirya. So he went to a nearby kingdom, and there the ruler was arranging for his daughter's marriage. And even though Bhishma hadn't been invited, because we know he took the pledge not to marry at all, to remain brahmachari, he came out of his own accord and he kidnapped the girls. Kidnapped the girls without any further ado. He just kidnapped them. Those girls were called Ambika, Ambalika, and Amba, if I'm not mistaken. You correct me, Vignesh, if I go astray a little bit. You know all these stories?
Yeah, I've seen it in a TV serial. I've not gone through in detail.
So in case I go off a little bit, you just tell me. I'm just trying to recollect from my own head. So he just forcibly kidnapped those three girls. He kind of convinced the father, look, it's such a great privilege for your daughters. They're going to marry the prince of the Kuru. Kuru was by far the most powerful dynasty on earth in those days. No one could match the power, the Kuru clan. One of the girls, actually what happened is, one of the girls, she pleaded to Bhishma, my heart I already gave my heart to one particular prince. So I cannot marry this Vichitravirya because my heart is there. I gave him my heart and he loves me, we are, So Bhishma kind of relented. He said, okay, you go back. So two girls are left, Ambika and Ambalika. So what happened is they married Vichitravirya, but as I said previously, he tended to be a bit of a womanizer. He was always with his wife, too attached, and as a result of that, he died of tuberculosis. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, it's mentioned like that. So then we're in a fix. Just imagine the scene. Try to imagine the scene. Satyavati is the queen mother. She's very powerful, extremely powerful lady. Can you imagine? She's the stepmother of Bhishma. Of course, in the meantime, King Shantanu left the world. So now we're in a fix. There is no heir in this dynasty. Bhishma has taken the vow to remember Brahmachari for life. Two sons died with no heir. Those two widows, Ambika and Ambalika, are widows. So what happened is Satyavati recollected that, yes, my son, that I had long back with Parashamuni, is Vyasadeva himself. So, and he told me that I could make him come on the spot if need be. And she did that. She told Bhishma, I've got this boon. So Bhishma was taken aback, but there's no choice. And she conceived of the scheme that, well, we can ask him perhaps to beget children in the wombs of those two ladies. We have it's an urgent situation. It's emergency crisis. So then he came on the spot and she divulged her plan. Yes, my dear son, we are in a fix. We need progeny. We need a descendant for this dynasty. So Vyasadeva replied, yes, okay, but give them some time to become accustomed to the idea, because you have to remember Vyasadeva is an ascetic, long matted hair, he wears only long clothes. He's a sage. So he has a very piercing eyesight. His body is kind of unkept a little bit. He's a sage. He's tapasvi, doing great austerities up in the Himalayas. He's not so much presentable as a future mate for those ladies, to say the least. So what happened is Mother Satyavati refused. She said, no, I don't want to wait 1 year. You have to produce children immediately. So then she sent one of the daughters. I forgot, you remember which one? Vignesh? I forgot a little bit.
Ambika?
Ambika could be, yeah. Ambika, and he was kind of ugly, an ascetic for a young lady like this. She was, a princess, they had always been living in comfort, kingly lifestyle, they're confronted to an ascetic, and it was ugly for them, long hair, matted hair, So she closed her eyes during the union. She closed her eyes. And true enough, who was born? A blind child. His name was? Dhritarashtra. Yes. Then she called, so Mother Chittavati she could not swallow that. She said, no way he can rule. He's blind. He's very powerful. He was physically extremely powerful. It's mentioned Dhritarashtra was as powerful as Bhim, 10,000 elephants. Very, very powerful living entity, physically. So Satyavati, she turned to the other lady, you have to sacrifice. I need a child. I need an heir. I'm getting old. So she sent the second lady, Ambika, I think. Ambalika, sorry. And then same story. She didn't close her eyes, but she was scared. She was scared. So she turned white. And who was born? Pandu. Pandu means white, I believe, of pale. And then, so again, Satyavati, even though he was a good child, not deformed or anything, powerful, very powerful, but pale. So Satyavati not wanted to take a risk. She requested again the first lady, you please go again. No way. So what she did, in secrecy, she sent her maid servant to meet with Vyas. But this servant, she was diligently doing a duty. She acted normally. And who was born from that union?
Vidura.
Vidur. That's why Vidur is Dasiputra, because she is a servant. But be careful, Vidur. Who is Vidur? In the bigger picture, who is Vidur? Is Yamaraj himself. Can you imagine? He's Yamaraj himself. You want to know the story behind that?
Yeah, now I know it was Yamaraj. It's not like...
What happened is, it's a side story. Mahabharat is like that. It's bouncing off from one side to the next. There is a story of Mandavya Muni. So Mandavya Muni was a great, we're going back in time, way back in time now. It's a great Muni, steeped in meditation, in Samadhi. Some dacoits, some gundas, some thieves had stolen goods. They were being chased by the owners, And they saw this hermitage, and they entered, discreetly they entered the hermitage, and they hid in the hermitage. All this while, the Muni was engrossed, indulging in deep samadhi, steeped in samadhi. So when the police came and the owners, they finally found the culprits hiding there. They also considered, well, the Muni is also part of the scheme. He has been plotting. He's part of the gang, he's part of the band. So they were all arrested. So what happened is they were sentenced to be pierced by lances. You understand? It's a horrible fate. You are being thrown by lances. So it happened, but the Muni, due to his severe austerities, he didn't die. So finally, the king found out about the incident, a major blunder on the part of his justice, and he came to apologize. And he was spared, obviously, he was not guilty at all. So now, Mandavya Muni was quite puzzled. Why did I have to go through that? What did I do that owned me to go through such an ordeal? So he went, of course, they can do that, they can travel. They can travel to outer space. And he went to Yamlok. And he approached Yamaraj. What did I do that amount to paying such a heavy price? What kind of karma did I do for this particular misdeed? Why did I have to suffer like this? So Yamaraj told him, when you were a child, you pierced, just out of play, you pierced an ant with a little piece of straw. So Mandavya Muni was, he told him it's totally disproportionate. It's way out of proportion. Your karma is way out of proportion. So he cursed Yamaraj. Can you imagine? He cursed Yamaraj. You cannot. You have to step down from your post. You're not fit to judge. It's disproportionate. So actually, it's all lila, because Yamaraj wanted to take a break from his heavy duties. We have to remember that Yamaraj is the most busy demigod by far. Extremely most powerful demigod after Brahma. So he took a break. He wanted to, and look, of course, just the right timing. He took birth. This Yamaraj took birth as Vidura. Exactly. So now we are back to the story, original story. We have 3 children. One is blind, the other is pale, unfit to rule, apparently. And the third one is a bastard. Let's put it this way. It's Dasiputra, not pure, born from a maid servant. In the meantime, remember, the first girl, Amba, she told Bhishma, by the way, I cannot marry Vijayaravirya because I've given my heart to this. I'm forgetting the name of this prince. I gave my heart to him. So Bhishma released her. What happened with that girl is terrible. She went back, but the apparent bridegroom meant to marry her, he kind of rejected her. No way, I'm going to marry you. You've been taken away by Bhishma. Who knows what happened? No, sorry, I'm not going to marry you. So the girl is totally dejected. Now she goes back. Sorel is gone. Huh? She was in a hurry, perhaps. So now this girl is going back to Bhishma. Please marry me. I have no other choice. No way. I'm a brahmachari. And now she's going to undertake heavy tapas. She's going to meet even Parashuram to convince Parashuram to tell Bhishma, Devavrat, who was originally trained by Parashuram, to let him marry me. They're going to have a fight. No one will win. And finally, Bhishma will tell his guru, no way, I'm going to marry her anyway. So now this girl is lost by all means. No one will marry her. She undertakes severe austerity to get revenge to Bhishma in a previous life, in her next life, sorry. And she's going to become, what's her name, Vignesh? She becomes a eunuch. Forgetting her name. You remember the name?
I remember that, I think
Shikandi. Yeah, exactly. So now we are moving to close to the battle. Shikandi, and she will appear in the battle. You will see how Bhishma dies because of her, basically. Because what's going to happen, Krishna will tell Arjuna, you put Shikandi in front. She's half woman, she's eunuch, basically. He won't dare, he will dare not shooting arrows at her. She's a woman, kind of. So, and then Krishna will tell Arjuna, this is your chance. You shoot arrows to him. And this is what's going to happen. He's going to die on a bed of arrows. That will be the end. So she took her revenge. So now, you know the story, and we're getting close. Dhritarashtra, there will be no one to rule. So in the beginning, Pandu is going to rule. He was a very good king, extremely noble and courageous. He's going to marry in due course of time Pritha. Pritha was, remember, Pritha was the sister of Vasudeva. So their father was called Shurasen. And Shurasen will gift his daughter, to his cousin brother, whose name was Kunti Bhoj, because he had no heir, Kunti Bhoj. He was a cousin of Vasudeva. So he told him, please, I've got many children, you take my daughter, and this is your own daughter now. So she was nicknamed Kunti because adopted father was Kunti Bhoj. So Pandu is going to be the first one to rule, and he's going to marry Kunti, and he's going to marry Madri also. Madri is daughter of Shalya, king of Madra. But what happened? A curse going to fall on Pandu, because when he was hunting as a young prince, he inadvertently shot almost dead. He thought it was some kind of an animal, a doe or something, and it was a human. And he just had time the person was almost dying. He brought him back. Actually, this young man was fetching water for his parents. Pandu had the time to bring the young man back to his parents, and he died in front of his parents. Parents were so much aggrieved, they cursed Pandu. Whenever you unite with your wife, if ever you do, you will die. And they die themselves. So in due course of time, when Pandu got to know that curse, he was so much, he was downtrodden, that he relinquished the crown and took away, split for the Himalayas, and remained there for years with his two wives. And you know the story. Kunti had received a boon when she was young. She, adopted by Kunti Bhoj, she had served Durvasa Muni so well that Durvasa Muni granted her a boon. She can call up demigods for anything. And First one came out of the blue way before she married Pandu. First one was Suryadev, Vivashwan, and in secrecy he begot into her Karn. Karn means ear, because she told him, I'm unmarried, no way I can lose my chastity, but he told her, naturally, he will come out of the ear, Karn. She very surreptitiously, she hid that boy. As soon as he was born, she discarded him on the basket, and later he will be adopted by a Shudra couple. They were carpenters, I believe. And he will reappear much later. He will be brought up by this couple. Then Kunti married. Pandu decided to go to the Himalayas. He'd been cursed. He wants to relinquish the crown. Who's taking over the crown? Dhritarashtra, the blind man. In the meantime, back in the Himalayas, Pandu is going to tell his wife, please call on the demigods. Yamaraj will come. He will beget. Who he will beget? Yudhishthir, Arjun, begotten by Indradev. Vayu first, number 2 is Vayu, Father Vayu, Bhim, then Arjun, Indradev, then Ashvin Kumar, Nakul and Sahadev. Then at one point, due to being enamored by his second wife, Madri, Pandu is going to unite with her and he's going to die. So funeral pyre will be erected. And finally, Madri told Kanti, you take over, you be the main mother, you take my children, I'm going to join her husband in the funeral pyre. She's going to do sati. Goes back, the whole party goes back to Hastinapur. In the meantime, Dhritarashtra has taken over. In the meantime, of course, his wife, Gandhari, she's coming from today, Afghanistan, Gandhar, the kingdom of Gandhar. So she had a brother also, Shakuni. Shakuni is Dwapara Yug personified. And she's going to marry against the will of Shakuni, by the way. She's going to marry again by Bhishma. Bhishma organized that marriage again. He's going to kind of coerce the father of Gandhari, Gandhar. You please give your daughter to Dhritarashtra. It's the Kuru, the top dynasty. Shakuni is going to keep a grudge for life to Bhishma on this one. That is why Shakuni will plot against Bhishma and plot against the Pandavas. He never forgave Bhishma. Gandhari is going to marry Dhritarashtra. They're going to have 100 sons. Who's going to become born first? Will it be the progeny of Kunti or the progeny of Gandhari? We know the story. It was long awaited, this child of Gandhari. It didn't come out on time. Kunti was born first. The Yudhishthira was born first. And basically, Gandhari is going to hit a belly very forcibly. Lump of flesh will fall down. It will be divided by yesterday in 100 parts. And there will be the 100 sons of Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. So there's going to be lots of intrigues and plots against those two parties. Dhritarashtra and his Shakuni, extremely evil, and Duryodhana has grown as the bigger son, of course, the eldest son, and also his nefarious brothers, especially what was the one who disrobed Draupadi, Dushashan. So on and on, it's going to be a confrontation. I don't want to go into the details. We took already 2 hours almost. So they're going to try to really harm the Pandavas by all means. The only person who's going to step out to save over and over again the Pandavas is Vidur. And Bhishma to some extent, but Bhishma unfortunately, because the Acharyas mentioned, because he has eaten grains given to him by the Kurus, is going to become contaminated, and unfortunately he will not react. In certain occasions he should have reacted, especially during the disrobing of Draupadi. That was over the top. That's the event that tilted the whole paradigm, the whole dynamics of this plot, of this Mahabharat. As soon as Draupadi was disrobed, no one reacted. Up to that event, the Pandavas were kind of tolerating. But when that happened, finished. They wanted to get back. And of course, with the help of Vidur, with the help of Lord Krishna, who was born also in his own way, even though he's Aja, but for the sake of facilitating pastimes of love with his own devotees, he took birth in Vrindavan, then Mathura, then he was trained in Ujjain, Sandipani Muni, Dwarka, 96 years with his queens. And during that time as Dwarkadish, he came, he got to know, but of course he knew they were cousin brothers basically, but they met, and he's going to protect. And he's going to be sent by Yudhishthir as a messenger of peace. Please try to appease, try to tone down the tension. Let's try to appease everything, avoid the war. You know the reaction of Duryodhana. He saw a small Virat Rupa, a mini Virat Rupa of Lord Krishna. He could not get it right. He wanted to imprison Lord Krishna. Actually, Lord Krishna wanted the war, to be honest. Yudhishthira didn't want the war, but Lord Krishna wanted the war. So now there's no way it can be avoided. It's going to be a fratricidal war. So I read that the Gita was, correct me if I'm wrong, Vignesh, but Ganguly is a great author in the 19th century. He said that in his own Mahabharat, he said that the Gita was delivered the day before, because the day before the battle was the rehearsal day. And that's going to be delivered on that previous day. Do you agree with that?
I think it was in between, right? Between the 18-day period of Mahabharata.
It lasted 18 days. But do you agree that the Gita was delivered 45 minutes or so? That's 700 shlok. It took place on the rehearsal day, the day prior to. That's what Ganguly said, actually. Do you agree with that?
So it's not on the same day as the war, just one day before the war?
Yeah, but again, I mean, it's not Prabhupada to say. But Prabhupada, unfortunately, didn't write down the Mahabharata. Ridhara Maharaj did, to some extent. He covered, I think, Adiparva, long back. He was initiated by Srila Prabhupada, Ridhara Maharaj. That's anyway. So anyway, I just want to give some figures. 18 Akshwini. 18 is a special number in Mahabharata, in the Gita. 18 chapters, 18 Akshwinis. And Prabhupada said 540 million people, 54 crore people died. 54 crores in 18 days. Just to give you things in perspective, World War II, 5 crore. And it took 6 years. 5 crores. And here, 18 days, 54 crores. Do you have any questions? I mean, I cannot skip many things, but I have to keep it within 2 hours.
Gokula. Yes. The Gita was spoken, I think, the context was set before the war of Mahabharata, right? like when Arjuna didn't want to fight, and then Krishna spoke the Gita. So logically, I think it should be before the day the Mahabharat war started.
Yeah, from what I read again in Ganguly, he's saying the day before, it's called the rehearsal day. Before the battle, they rehearse. And this is the time. But you know, from what Prabhupada writes in our Gita, that it doesn't appear like this. Because, you know, at the end of the Gita, it says, okay, now I'm ready, and my illusion is gone. He grabs his bow, gun with a bow, and prepare to shoot. So how could it be the day before? You know, so I'm a little uncertain on this. That's why Ganguly, you know, I don't know Ganguly. He lived 1 century ago.
Yeah, they say it is only 45 minutes that Krishna spoke the Gita.
It's a small talk.
So it should be 45 minutes. What was he doing in the other time? You know, just waiting.
No, that's why it doesn't. Personally, I have some hard time to admit it was the day before, because at the end of the Gita is very clear. He's convinced, 1873, I think, and he grabs his bow and ready to fight. He's about to shoot arrows now. So, anyway, are you clear on a little bit on the events that led to the battle, Gokulananda and Vignesh? Did it help?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's the whole like a summary of.
Yeah, I just hope Jacob and
Mahabharat,
Sorel are on top of that, because otherwise, you know, especially the first chapter, it's a bit, you know, if you're coming out of the blue into it, you know, it's what's going on. There's so many events leading to that fratricidal war. Anyway.
So the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is a little bit of all the names and everything of the Mahabharat.
By the way, if you want to know, I've got something interesting here. I can share it with you. Who is who? For instance, Jarasandh. Jarasandh, who is Jarasandh? Danava Viprachiti. Danava is a Asuric race. They're called the Danavas. The Danavas were the ones who used to format Duryodhana. We will see throughout the story that Duryodhana was formatted by the Danavas. So Viprachiti is Jarasandh. Hiranyakashipu. You know Hiranyakashipu in Gita? I mean, not in Gita, but in Mahabharat.
Is that the same Hiranyakashipu that?
Yes, the same one. We have to understand they all, basically, in one sense, they're all Parshads, you know. The Vishnu Parshad. Shishupal.
Shishupal. Is this a cousin of Krishna?
Yeah, exactly.
How is he a cousin? I forgot about it.
But he was a demon. He's going to be killed himself by Krishna. So now, Samlad. Remember Prahlad? He had brothers. Halad, Hanulad, Samlad. Prahlad's brother is Shalya. Shalya is going to be one of the rare souls going to survive. Shalya was invincible. They call him Invincible Shalya. Very powerful. He's on the side of the Pandavas. Of course, it's Prahlad, so how can he be on the other side? Hanulad. Hanulad is one of the brothers. Drishtaketu. Comes. Who is comes?
Karna?
Yeah, comes. Who is he in the Bhagavatam?
Kam. Can you spell it? What is
Kamsa?
Kamsa.
Okay.
He was the son of Ugrasen, King Ugrasen.
Yeah, he is the son of Ugrasen. Is Kalanimi. Interesting story behind him.
In his previous life, he was Kalamini.
Yes. So remember why even Kalanimi in the first place? Because what happened is Hiranyakashipu had a few sons. Some of them, we know Prahlad. We know Prahlad is totally highlighted in the 7th canto. But the other brothers were not so obedient to the father. So Hiranyakashipu cursed them. He cursed them by saying, you will be born, I curse you to be killed by Vishnu. So remember, in the 8th canto, it appears that Kalanemi was killed by Vishnu. And again, they took birth as, we're getting close to Krishna now.
The son of Devaki.
Very good, Garbhasur. And they were killed by their own father. It's a very interesting story. Kams is Kalanemi. So in other words, Kalanemi was originally son of Hiranyakashipu. He was killed by Vishnu as Kalanemi, and now he's taking birth as Kams to kill his previous brothers. Can you imagine the fate, the turn of fate? Kams has killed the Garbhasur, the first 6 children of Devaki. They were basically, the previous sons of Hiranyakashipu, cursed by Hiranyakashipu to be killed. Okay, Dronacharya, Brihaspati is a portion of Brihaspati. Ashvatthama is the son of Drona. He's going to perform an heinous act. He's going to behead the sons of Draupadi at the end of the battle. Nice. Even Duryodhana was totally turned off by this.
I have a question. Why Ashvatthama turned out to be against the Pandava? Was he cursed to be the enemy of the Pandava?
So let's find out who is it first. Ashvatthama was a united portions of Shiv, Yam, Kam, and Krodh. Four portions together. Ashvatthama, yes, he was about the same age as everyone else, Yudhishthir, Duryodhana, and he was the son of Drona. So Drona was martial teacher. So obviously he hung out with all these fellows, Yudhishthir, and he got close to Duryodhana. And Duryodhana, extremely good diplomat, he took him under his fold. He gave him lots of perks, so he became quite, he became greedy after the perks that Duryodhana would give him. And he took the side of the Kauravas. And he beheaded the sons of Draupadi. But it's amazing also to note that in the 8th canto it's mentioned, of course, he's not going to be killed, that. He's going to be spared by Yudhishthir and Draupadi, by the way, which is, it's beyond human range. You forgive the culprit who beheaded your own sons. It's totally beyond human range. And he's going to be cursed he's going to be spared. Arjuna will practically cut his hair in a disorderly manner, his mustache, he will be ugly, and he's going to be roaming around for 3,000 years with an obnoxious smell to his body. Obnoxious smell for 3,000 years. And what's amazing is in 8th canto it's mentioned, he's going to become the next Vyasadeva in the next Divya Yoga. Now, sometimes it's hard to fathom all these things.
There's also some avatar of Lord Shiva or something, what I've heard. Ashwatthama. Was an avatar of Lord Shiva?
But it says in my list, it says here, not only Shiva, Lord Shiva, let me go back to my list. Yamraj, Kam, and Krodh. That's all I have, Prabhu. Shakuni, Shakuni, the evil brother of Gandhari, he vowed to even hurt himself, he maimed himself for the sake of staying in Hastinapur, and he vowed himself to get back at Bhishma, who forcibly seized his daughter to marry Dhritarashtra. He was Dwapara Yuga personified. Extremely nasty fellow. Shakuni. Now, Satyaki, Drupad, Krita Varman, they were portions of the Maruts. Marut means the wind god. Pandu is purity personified, very pure living entity. The brothers of Duryodhan, 100, there was Rakshasa sons of Pulasya. Pulasya is one of the Prajapati, one of the, what do you call it, Manaputra of Lord Brahma, Pulasya. He had a Rakshasic dynasty also. And there were Rakshasic sons. Drishtadyumna, remember? Brother of Gandhari, Draupadi. He was a portion of Agnidev. The Vishvadevas, the sons of Draupadi who got beheaded, they were Vishvadevas. Pradyumna, first son of Lord Krishna is Sanat Kumar. Lord Krishna's wives, 16,000, they were Apsaras. Rukmini is Lakshmi Devi herself. The son of, Draupadi. Draupadi is a portion of Lakshmi. She's not a human lady. She's coming from the fire like her brother, Drishtadyumna. And then Abhimanyu is Varshas. Varshas was the son of Chandradev. What happened before the battle? Lord Brahma asked Chandradev, can I have your son? Because his son was very powerful in combat. And Chandradev said, no way. So Lord Brahma pleaded just for a short while, and Chandradev told him, yes, just for 16 years then.
Is that Chandra?
Chandradev. Moon god. Moon god,
okay.
And his name was Varshas. And remember, Abhimanyu was extremely dexterous. He killed in one day 1/4 of the Kauravas. And he got basically 9 Maharathis fell on his back. It took 9 Maharathis to kill him. He was killed in an heinous manner. And actually Karna went to him and he just killed him, and he told him in his ear, he told him, actually, the real hero is not me. It's not Arjuna, it's you. Because it took 9 Maharathis to kill Abhimanyu. And of course, that was wanted this way, but because he was meant to go back to his original father, moon god, Chandradev. Anyway, I think that's enough for today.
Thank you. Yeah, Mahabharat is very, very elaborate.
It's 1 lakh something verse on earth, what to speak of other realms. It's 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs. Anyway, Hare Krishna.
There's a lot of intermixing.
Yes, Prabhu?
It is a lot of intermixing of the various stories. Of
intricacies, yeah. Prabhupada,
stories. It's okay.
Yeah.
And it's good to know the main character for us to understand the Gita, isn't it?
Yeah, at least we should retain, who is who, because some of them are going to continue their role in the Gita. So we have to be aware. Not many, very few actually. We just see Dhritarashtra, we see Duryodhan.
Sanjay. Who was Sanjay?
Sanjay. Tell her, Vignesh, who is Sanjay?
I know who is Sanjay, but I don't know who. He's the one who recite
the minister of Dhritarashtra,
because he got the vision from Vyasadeva.
Yeah, special soul, Sanjay. Special soul. Yeah, like Vignesh said, go ahead.
He was a minister of Dhritarashtra, King Dhritarashtra.
Yeah, definitely. And he was actually a worshipper of Virat Rupa. Remember at the end of the Gita, his hairs were standing on end just by recalling this dialogue.
Yeah.
So he's a special soul. He's not ordinary at all. And he's going to fight to some extent. He's going to fight. And when Bhishma fell, it was such a terrible occurrence that he took it upon himself to leave the battle and go back to Hastinapur, inform the emperor. So what he did, he told whatever he had witnessed as a warrior himself, and then he carried on through, like television, Prabhupada said, is as if he could see the battlefield from afar. He's going to carry on and portray and share the continuity of the battle to the Dhritarashtra. Yeah. Hare Krishna, I'm over time already, 6:15 here.
Hare Krishna.
So next time will be Chandra. I think he's doing the introduction, so I'm not going to interfere with that.
He did half the introduction.
Yeah, so let him do the other half. You let him do the other half, and then after that, we'll move on into Gita itself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I hope, anyway, I will post the recording so they can, the other two can access to it. Hare Krishna. Take care.
Okay.